Hi everybody, Dr. Smith here with Arroyo Grande Health and Wellness. I want to talk to you today about posture, and posture is very important for maintaining your spinal health and also for my Tai Chi students for progressing in Tai Chi. In fact, Master Yang says that first you must mind the posture before you can enhance the mind. Okay, and that's very true because we look at the shape of the skeleton here, it tells us a lot about what is a natural posture. And if we're having tension in our bodies, we're not going to be able to focus our minds or relax our minds. So not only will that help us in Tai Chi and martial arts, but also in our day-to-day work. If you look at the spine here, you'll see that it forms an S-shaped curve. Just like a spring, that shape helps the spine to bear the weight of the body. Right? We're the only animal that has gone from a horizontal position to an upright position, so we're bearing a lot of weight into these bones, especially down into our pelvis. And if we're not holding the correct posture, you can see that very quickly the forces generated from our weight can cause a lot of problems further down into our spine. So I'm going to bring Katie in here and we're going to go over some different types of posture and show you how to achieve the perfect sitting posture. Okay, so Katie here is obviously demonstrating poor posture, but this is a posture that we see way too much of in our society. And I'm sure a lot of you can recognize this, either on the computer, driving in the car, or maybe the kids playing video games. Alright, if we look at our skeleton, what's happening right now is she's rocking back and loading into her sacrum here. She's straightening out and putting a lot of pressure on the disc of this part of her spine. She's putting a lot of pressure on the posterior or facet joints in this back of the spine. And her head is going very far forward, compressing these nerves up by her skull, which can cause a lot of headaches. Okay? So, the first thing we need to do is rearrange Katie. Okay, so the first thing to do when we're sitting in a chair is to make sure we're sitting on the proper part of our pelvis. That is this part here called the ischial tuberosities, or your sit bones. If you follow the hamstrings back, you'll run into a little bony area in the lower part of the buttock, and that's what you should be sitting on. Katie right now is rolling onto her sacrum, and that could cause a lot of sacroiliac joint dysfunction as well as sciatica if left alone. So if Katie kind of sits up like this and rocks her pelvis forward, she will sit on those bones and sit upright. Another thing we did is that we lowered her knees. Whenever you're sitting at a desk, you want to make sure that your hip is 90 degrees or less. Okay, so you don't want your knees up high in the air. And then we want 90 degrees or less in the knees as well. Okay. Now, as she sits up onto her sit bones, her back starts to show its normal lumbar curve. Okay? If you're going to be sitting for a while, you may want to accentuate that with a lumbar support, like one of these here. The key to using one of these is to make sure that your buttock is back against the chair. As you can see, most chairs lean away from the spine where they need to be supported. So if she brings her buttock to this back edge of the chair and then leans forward a little bit, we can tuck this pillow right into the small of her back, supporting her lumbar curve right here, allowing her upper back also to rest. Now, what we want to do is make sure that her ear is in line with her shoulder. Our heads weigh on average 10 pounds, and you can see that they're balanced on a flexible stick called our vertebral column. Okay? Every inch that we go forward adds another 10 pounds of pressure to these joints and these muscles, which can cause tension, headaches, back spasm, joint dysfunction, all sorts of problems. So by bringing that head over the shoulder, we align that in the way that the spine is meant to hold the head. We can do that by looking at Katie's ear, lining it up with her shoulder, allowing a nice curve here in the cervical spine. Okay, now many of us are spending a lot of time on computers, so the best way for us to integrate good posture into computer work is to make sure that our computer keyboard is about the level of our elbows. So her elbows aren't up high like this and they're not too far down low like that, but about 90 degrees. So her keyboard should be right about there for her. Another thing, a lot of keyboards are tilted like this. Okay, what that does is put pressure into the wrist and especially the carpal tunnel of the wrist. So to make sure that you're protecting your wrist, you want a neutral position of your keyboard on the wrist, sort of like that. Okay, and if you want to move up to the next level, once you have good posture, if you want to exercise those muscles and exercise the nervous system to support your posture, you should sit on something that's a little bit mobile, like a ball. Okay, and what this does, this causes my spine to kind of slowly move all day long while I'm sitting on here. So it's exercising the postural muscles that protect my spine and keep good spinal health. Another time when we might spend a lot of time in a sitting position is when meditating. Now, of course, you can also meditate sitting in a chair or on a ball, but if you prefer to sit on the ground or sit on the floor on a little mat, you want to make sure that you're holding good posture here, right? And just like Master Yang says, first we have to relax and take care of the body before we can relax and take care of the mind. Okay, so Katie again, she's sitting on her sit bones. Even though her legs are crossed, she still has a nice curve in her low back here. Her shoulders in line with her hip, her ears in line with her shoulder, and she's relaxed her shoulders, breathing abdominally, and getting into a nice relaxed posture so she can focus on her meditation.